Welcome back to JoJo's Bizarre Adventures Anime Review. This is episode number 10. This one reviewing the third episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, also the 116th episode of the series, Meet the Gangster Behind the Wall. This one adapts mostly chapters 448 to at least, almost the entirety of chapter 451. Yeah, it's a pretty quick episode. This episode picks up right where last left off, where Gio wants to join the organization that Baraki is part of. So he sort of gives a little lowdown exactly what the organization is. Apparently, no one has seen the boss. Oh yeah, and it turns out I should point out that the boss of the organization is actually the main villain of this arc. Yep, he's the main villain of this part, and the organization is called Passionate. Passionate. It's abbreviation for passion. The boss's title has nothing to do with the guy's name. As a matter of fact, no one has ever seen the boss. No one has ever known what he looks like. He just has these group of capos. These are like his lieutenants. Those recruiters. So he takes to meet one of them, named Papito, who is in prison for a certain crime. As for what the crime is, they don't really say what it is. And they do show him. Oh gosh, they show him. They get to the prison. Looks like a very stereotypical. It looks like a typical prison. And they kind of get close to a cell. It looks like, okay, it seems like it's like several rooms. And they see like this mass, like it's like really cool looking hallway. But before he gets in there, he gets a pat down, which I have heard this is kind of true for a lot of prisons. And this is something a bit unusual. Now you're probably thinking, did the guy pat down the main character? No, it was a woman, a very lovely woman. Yep. So after he gets his pat down, of course, he has to leave his bag behind. He has to go meet the guy, and wow, this guy is huge. This guy looks like he's bigger than a lot of the characters in the series. Now, some of these characters a lot of time they look very realistic of how humans supposed to be. But man, this guy's huge. Not only this guy is overweight, this guy looks like he's about 8 feet tall. And he's drinking wine. He's got gun, and apparently he also can sort of shapeshift stuff. That's basically, apparently he can transform into a bed. It's like no bed in his cell, and his cell has got guns, a TV, a mini fridge for wine and crackers. Oh yeah, at some point when he's eating crackers, he accidentally eats his fingers for some reason, and then they magically grow back. They don't really explain why. Apparently it's his stand. And they have sort of a brief conversation. It's a pretty good conversation, like built up of trust, and then he gives him a lighter to sort of hold on to while lit for 24 hours. Okay, so he gets out of the cell. He leaves the room with the lighter. He somehow uses his stand to transform the lighter into a flower, which the female guard allows him through anyways. Like, there's nothing wrong with bringing out a flower. Nothing wrong with that, but with something else, it might grow some concern. So yeah, he gives himself back, walks to the prison with a lighter, turns down several offers for help, goes back to his room, and then I kind of forgot this happened. Kanochi shows up, and he searches Gio's room to look for his passport. He finds it, but it's partially burnt at a corner. But I'm sure that the, let's say the imports, people who's just probably the Japanese version of the Homeland Security. Well, it wasn't established at this point, but even though it takes place in 2001, the manga came out in 1999, roughly before 9/11. So, excuse me, my guess is equivalent to that. So that's probably, and I think this is probably gonna be the last time you see the guy. I was a little surprised to see him because I kind of forgot he actually was. It's been a while since I read part 5. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been like a good year since I've read part 5. Yeah, I actually, it was not a year, more like I haven't read it since like maybe early this year. It was actually a really good part, by the way. And I'm thinking, though, they show up in the opening title, they show up all the characters of this particular thing, and it's only 3 episodes in, and aside from the main character, you only see like one other person, and he appears throughout most of this entire arc, anyways. Bakarachi, yeah. Also, because the guy, also the probably the capo guy who's in his cell, He says the only thing he can't see is the Sistine Chapel, which was painted by the late Michelangelo. So he goes back to his dorm room, hides the lighter in a piece of bread of all things. Try to make sure Kenoshi doesn't get a chance to see the thing. So he transforms a hanging lamp into a snake, picks the thing, apparently burn it partially. Excuse me. So able to catch it, and apparently the lighter was able to disappear. So he got out of there, and somehow a water flashlight kind of went out, but the gas was still going, so it could still light up. And apparently lit up, and all of a sudden this other stand shows up. Oh yeah, and the guy who sort of kind of put it out was a cleaner, who I think is a friend of Ganano's. And this stand, this is Pablo's stand. They don't really, it's suggested it might be, but the episode ends prior to that. And the thing actually doesn't adapt the last 3 pages of chapter 451, so we don't get a chance to figure out this episode. Probably next week, probably do that. It had an interesting ending to it, by having the arrow, yes, this famous arrow, which apparently gave everybody stands. As far as I've heard, this arrow was actually established in part 4. Yes, as this is the same arrow that was fired at Dio Brand. Apparently this is one of several, like a good full quiver of these things. Like, I think a quiver is known for having about 23 arrows. This arrow is what gives people stands. The only reason why Gio had it because he was born with it. Yeah, because, well, same bloodline, so there's that. And Baraki, he's basically loosely knowing about stands. I wouldn't be surprised if Kenoshi basically runs him one more time and tells him all about stands, because, well, he has a stand himself. Rebirth. But yeah, this was an interesting little episode. It left out a really shocking cliffhanger. Unlike last week, didn't end with a cliffhanger. It left out one, not shocking, but didn't end with a cliffhanger. But this set up something like very good ending to it. Yeah, not much else to say, but a really good, pretty good episode nonetheless. Okay, so that's really it for this particular review. Stay tuned tomorrow for my review of next episode of Black Clover, which I know is coming out tomorrow. And I think I've heard a rumor about this, that possibly the first episode of Fairy Tail first episode of the dubbed Fairy Tail for this current season of it is coming out possibly tomorrow. Hopefully it will be, okay? But to see you next review. Bye.